Question I have for anyone who's waiting for two witnesses, as spoken about in the book of Revelation, is if you're waiting for two witnesses, are you also waiting for a great red dragon or a woman clothed with the sun and the moon and the stars? People understand that the woman clothed with the sun, the moon, and the stars represents Israel, and the great red dragon represents a bloodline, not an actual dragon. So if these symbols are not literal, why would the two witnesses be literal? Almost everything in the book of Revelation is about symbols. The Most High speaks in analogies. And when you analyze something, it's important to remain consistent. And that's where most people seem to go off. Is this part is literal and then this part is an analogy. But that's not how anything works. You have to apply the same rules to everything. So let's read the book of Revelation about the two witnesses. And I'm going to do like a whole series. I'm going to break down all these verses. I'll create a playlist. Even though this video may be not long, but maybe about 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to make a bunch of short videos that break down all these verses. So, look out for those and piece them all together. Because if I make a video too long, nobody's really going to watch the whole video and you'll miss part of it. A friend of the channel asked me to break down the two witnesses, and even though I've talked about it before, I'm going to be more thorough this time where you can literally see that it's not actual two people coming down. Let's start by reading Revelation 11:3. And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 2,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. And if any man hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut up heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have powers over water to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where our king was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to put in graves. And they that dwell on the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts to one another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Elohim entered into them. And they stood on their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven, saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended into heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. There's a lot to unpack here, and we can break this down each verse by verse. We're going to look at all of these verses in future videos, but for now, these are two witnesses that people believe are going to come down. All this is an analogy about Israel getting into the land, having power when they came out of Egypt, and then being broken down to nothing, where the other nations have power over them. That's all we're reading here. And it's just an analogy from the beginning to the end, where they're broken down and then the Most High restores them. That's the theme throughout the whole entire Bible, and that's what the Bible's about. Israel getting power, given the commandments, forsaking the commandments, and then being destroyed for a period of time, and then raised up. So Christ had power, he was broken down, and then he was raised up. Even he is an analogy for Israel. That's the story. So let's find some other analogies, and let's go over them. Let's read Zechariah chapter 4, verse 1. And the angel that talked with me came again, wake me, as a man that is wakened out of his sleep. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and beheld again a candlestick of all gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps, which are upon the top thereof, and the 2 olive trees by it, one by the right side of the bowl, and the other on the left side thereof. Then I answered and said unto him, What are the 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, What be the 2 olive branches, which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? And he answered me and said, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord. Then he said unto me, These are the 2 anointed ones that stand before the Most High of the whole earth. In the Revelation, we have 2 witnesses, and in Zechariah, we have 2 olive trees. They're the same thing. They are the anointed ones that stand before the Most High of the earth. In Revelation, it says the 2 witnesses in verse 3. Then in verse 4, it says, These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the whole earth. And then we go to Zechariah, and he's desperately asking what this analogy is, because he knows that the olive trees represent something. So he's asking what they are. And the angel doesn't answer him the first time, so he asks him a second time. And the angel is saying to him, don't you know what these are? Because he should know what they are. So the comparison is Zechariah 4:14, and he says, these are the two anointed ones that stand before the Most High of the whole earth. So it's the same thing. In Revelation, it says the two anointed ones, and Zechariah says these are the two anointed ones. Most people want to run and say this is Elijah and Moses. They, for whatever reason, there's many reasons where you can draw the analogy in saying that the two witnesses will be Elijah and Moses, or Elijah and Enoch. They both were called up to heaven and they didn't die. But not to get too technical, but when you have a subset or something within a group, yes, they will fit the analogy, but the group also fits the analogy. This is talking about Israel. Israel are the two anointed ones. And how do we know that? Let's read Lamentations 4 verse 20. The breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Most High, was taken into their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Here we have who the anointed ones are. They're the children of the Most High, the adopted children of the Most High, the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When you read Lamentations, is what Jeremiah saw Israel, the broken down people, and they were the anointed of the Most High, and they were taken into their pits or their jail cells. And now, so let's read 1 Chronicle chapter 16 verse 21. And he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes, saying, touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm. The people of the Most High are his prophets. They are his anointed. And you can see that the reference when it says the two anointed ones that stand before the Most High of all the earth. And touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm. These are the same people. And it's easy to make the reference here. And the reference when we can draw from is in verse 21. He said, he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes. And the analogy is, or the connecting verse in the two witnesses is, if any man hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. When they came out of Egypt, they had power. Anybody who did anything to them, the Most High destroyed them. As they traveled through the land when they came out of Egypt, many kings, Sihon and Og, came out against Israel, and the Most High destroyed them. And that's the analogy. He suffered no man to do them wrong. In Chronicles and in Revelation, it says, if any man hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth and devour their enemies. That's how the Most High destroyed them. When you read in the scriptures, the Most High destroyed many of Israel's enemies before Israel fought. They would defeat them in the war, but the Most High would go forth first. Israel had power, but it was the Most High that was on their side. So he would fight for them, and then they would do cleanup. To sum this up, like I said, I'm keeping these videos short, but I'm going to make another part to this. And in my next video, I'll talk about the other analogies of Israel being two. But to sum this all up, when you read Revelation, it's all about analogies. The two witnesses have already occurred. It's not something that's coming down the pike. These are old Christian beliefs to keep you in their bank, always looking for something coming, and it never comes. That's how they keep you coming into the church. Oh, they'll show you something on the news or something to keep you thinking that there's something coming down the pike. There's nothing coming down the pike but a war. I said in previous videos, two witnesses, the Antichrist, all these things are in the past. What we look for now is just this war. And the time period that the two witnesses prophesied is over. That was just Israel, their progression from power, breaking the commandments, to suffering, until we wait for the power of their resurrection. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.